welcome to The Sports Show. Good morning and welcome to The Sports Show here on Lake Effect Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Kirby. So, we have a great show for you guys this morning. So let's first talk about those Ohio State Buckeyes, as they have a big game coming up this week, as they will be facing Penn State in a Big Ten matchup on Saturday Night Football on ABC. So some guys to watch for in that game will be, quarterback Dwayne Haskins, but also Paris Campbell, who's got 19 receptions for 299 yards and 5 touchdowns this year. And then for Dwayne Haskins, he's 87 for 115 for 1,194 yards and 16 touchdowns this year. So, you look at this game. This has a lot of playoff implications on it, because for one reason and one reason only. It's a top 10 and it's a top 10 matchup. Ohio State's ranked 4th, and then you got Penn State at 9th. So this really could be a do or die game for Ohio State, 'cause if they win, you will most likely see them in the playoff. But if they lose this game, there's that possibility that they could be out of the playoff. And also another game to watch for Saturday night is number 8 Notre Dame hosting number 7 Stanford. That game will also have playoff implications involved. But when you look at both games, they're both top 10 matchups, and they're both do or die games for both teams. But when you look at the Ohio State game specifically, 1, it's a conference game. 2, it's at one of the biggest atmospheres in college football which is Penn State. But then you also look at, Dwayne Haskins has been playing phenomenally this year. Even though the only tough competition he's faced is TCU, in my opinion. So when you look at how he's played, it really just goes to show that even though he is, this is only his second year at starting, but he also has great coaching with that. He had Ryan Day, for the first couple games, but then when Urban Meyer came back, he was coaching him. And that just goes to show that even though Ohio State was without Urban Meyer, for the first couple games, they were still able to win games, and Dwayne Haskins was still able to perform at a high level and a level that can get them into the playoff. Going into Penn State, that game is going to be crazy because it's going to be Haskins' first game at a place that he hasn't played at before. He didn't play against Penn State last year. The only game he played last year was at Michigan, and that was in the end of November. So when you look at this game, it's going to be a test for Dwayne Haskins as far as him being able to handle the crowd and the atmosphere, because from what I've heard, it's one of the craziest stadiums in college football. When you see the way these fans are, it's as they call it, it's a complete whiteout. The whole stadium is just whited out. And, hopefully he can overcome those things and Ohio State can get a win, because they will need this win. Because, in my opinion, if Penn State wins this game, they will jump into the top 4 and Ohio State will drop to either 5 or 6 in the AP Top 25. So this will really, turn the rankings around if Penn State beats Ohio State. And also if Notre Dame can beat Stanford, even though it's an 8 versus a 7, if Notre Dame can beat Stanford, they can also jump into that, that 5 or 6 spot. Because when you look at the strength of schedule for both Ohio State and Notre Dame's got the second toughest schedule in college football. Ohio State is out of the top. They're not even in the top 10 for strength of schedule. So that really goes to show that you know, for Notre Dame just being in, an independent, meaning they're not in a specific conference, they have a tougher schedule because they have to get the ACC matchups, and they have to get these not as well, they're all non-conference matchups, but like these, ACC, Pac-12, Big Ten, they have to get all these conferences to want to play them, even though they're not designated as a, ACC or a Big Ten or, what have you. So that really just goes to show that Notre Dame, to have the to be second in strength of schedule, just really is mind-boggling, because, they're taking on Stanford at home. They played Michigan at home. They went into Wake Forest and just annihilated them. But then you also look at, as I said before, Notre Dame's not in a specific conference. Ohio State is. So I think, you look at that, the Big Ten's a pretty tough conference. Penn State, they're 4-0. Both Ohio State and Penn State are unbeaten. So that's another thing that will be in effect, is that how can both teams, how can Dwayne Haskins, get that, catch fire in the first quarter and, just carry Ohio State to a victory. But then you look at Notre Dame and they've got Ian Book, who's actually replacing Brandon Wimbush, and he's just come out and just surprised everybody. Against Wake Forest, he played incredibly against Wake Forest, and when you look at that game, it was his first college start. He had been the backup for a long time, so for him to come in and just go 25 of 34 for 325 yards and 2 touchdowns. To me, that's insane, only because he has not started a game. And for him to start that game and to do what he did, it just goes to show that even if you are a backup, you can play, and you can, there's going to be that time that you will get, to have your shot at playing. So, you look at, he was a backup, but then you also look at, Brandon Wimbush is a pretty good quarterback. He started last year and played very well last year. But I think, him, it wasn't because of injury, I don't think, but, you look at how good, Ian Book was against Wake Forest, and he's actually starting on Saturday night against Stanford. It's going to be a tough game for them. It's going to be a tough game for Stanford because they really don't have a lot of film on Ian Book. They have that one game against Wake Forest. That's about it. So when you look at only having a little bit of game film from only having that game to look at for Stanford, it's going to be tough for them to look at, okay, will this guy scramble? Because against Wake Forest, he did not scramble all that much. He stayed in the pocket, but he had great blocking in front of him, so he was able to hold on to the ball for that 5 or 6 second mark. Whereas, when they had Wimbush in there, he was scrambling, so the offensive line had to move around a heck of a lot more than they do when Ian Book's at quarterback. So I think that's going to be another test, is that can the offensive line of Notre Dame, have that change of, okay, Ian Book's at quarterback, he does not scramble that much, we have to block for him. Whereas with Wimbush, he was able to scramble, so they had to block a heck of a lot more because he's moving all over the pocket. He wasn't just standing in the pocket, he was moving all over, so they had to watch where he was going, because if he's going to the right, maybe 2 or 3 blockers are moving to the right and staying there and blocking for him. So I think that's going to be a real test and then for Ohio State, this is Penn State's first year without, their starting running back Saquon Barkley. So I think a lot of the pressure is going to be put on quarterback Trace McSorley to, even though he is a quarterback, he can run the ball very well. And I think that's going to be the toughest test for Penn State, is that can they get McSorley to run those quarterback sneaks, in times of, maybe a 4th and 1. So I think that's going to be the toughest test for Notre Dame, for Ohio State, is can they contain Trace McSorley? So when we come back, we're going to talk a little Cleveland Indians postseason as the schedule was just released today. We'll talk about that and more. You're listening to the Sports Radio Show here on Lake Effect Radio.
And stolen by Mike Davis. Davis gives to Goodwin, takes that, puts up and in for two. Tip by Montel Goodwin, gets the steal. Here's Mike Davis for three. No good. Rebounded by Wilson. Wilson put back up and in.
You're listening to Lakeland's Lake Effect Radio, the official home of Lakeland Sports. If you want to watch or listen, you can tune to lakeeffectradio.org/sports.
Please note that State Route 306 through Kirtland is being resurfaced from the southern county line to 600 feet south of Kirtland Road near the Holden University Center. This may cause traffic delays at Lakeland's main campus entrance during peak times. Students are encouraged to plan ahead and consider using the East Campus entrance off Garfield Road. The road work is expected to be completed by late October.
Just listen.
Here's some simple math that'll make you feel like a genius. Transfer your current car loan to Cardinal Community Credit Union and save serious money. In fact, if you don't save with Cardinal, we'll pay you $50. You save, or we pay. It's a no-brainer. Plus, when you move the loan to Cardinal, we'll reward your brilliance with $125 in cash. Stop in or visit cardinalcu.com. You save, or we pay. Only at Cardinal Community Credit Union.
Offer and rate may vary depending on individual credit history. All loans subject to credit approval. Offer may be withdrawn at any time.
Here's some simple math that'll make you feel like a genius. Transfer your current car loan to Cardinal Community Credit Union and save serious money. In fact, if you don't save with Cardinal, we'll pay you $50. You save, or we pay. It's a no-brainer. Plus, when you move the loan to Cardinal, we'll reward your brilliance with $125 in cash. Stop in or visit cardinalcu.com. You save, or we pay. Only at Cardinal Community Credit Union.
Offer and rate may vary depending on individual credit history. All loans subject to credit approval. Offer may be withdrawn at any time.
The Men's Resource Center is a one-stop resource for men. They work with you by helping remove obstacles to success, developing individualized success strategies to keep students on task, problem-solving outside issues such as work, family, and time management, coaching students with financial aid or instructor issues, offering achievement programs to adult learners and minority students, and providing overall guidance and motivation. No appointment necessary, just drop in. The Men's Center is located in L101. Call 440-525-7747 or go to lakelandcc.edu/men's center for more information.
Please note that State Route 306 through Kirtland is being resurfaced from the southern county line to 600 feet south of Kirtland Road near the Holden University Center. This may cause traffic delays at Lakeland's main campus entrance during peak times. Students are encouraged to plan ahead and consider using the East Campus entrance off Garfield Road. The road work is expected to be completed by late October.
Hey, did you know that Lakeland Community College has their own student-run radio station? Well, indeed they do. Did you also know that they stream live on www.livestream.com/lakeeffect? They have different DJs each hour. Well, now they have an all-new, brand-new website to fit your needs, including scheduled show times, live stream camera feed, local artists and musicians pages, and much more. Check out Lakeland's Lake Effect Radio's website at www.lakeeffectradio.org for more information.
And welcome back to the Sports Radio Show here on Lake Effect Radio. Now we're going to talk a little Tribe as the postseason schedule was just released, as the Indians will be taking on the Astros on Friday, October 5th in Houston. Time still to be determined. The game will be broadcast on TBS and also streaming live on the Watch TBS app. So when you look at this matchup, I mean, we're thankful we don't have to face the Red Sox. I mean, hopefully we don't, but you look at, the Astros, I mean, they clinched the AL West. They have a great team. But then when you look at the Indians, hopefully the Indians their pitching staff could stay healthy. You look at, if we can have Andrew Miller, pitching at a high level in the postseason, you could see, I think everybody can see the Indians getting to the World Series and winning it. But I mean, if there's that look of, is there a point that the injuries do occur? It's less and less likely that, the Indians can get to the World Series without key pitching. But if they can stay healthy and, if you can have Shane Bieber and, Trevor Bauer and Corey Kluber all pitching at a high level, you could very well see the Indians in the World Series come, and winning the pennant. But, the Astros are a very tough team. They're the defending World Series champs. They've got an AL MVP candidate in Jose Altuve. They've got Carlos Correa. The list goes on and on. But, it all comes back to their pitching staff. They got Justin Verlander and Garrett Cole. So, and Dallas Keuchel. So you look at those three guys. I mean, those are very good pitchers. But then you look at, the rest of the team, You look at, Yuli Gurriel, Josh Bregman, or Alex Bregman, excuse me. So you look at that team against the Indians, it's very difficult to see the Indians losing. Only because the pitching staff for the Indians, those guys staying healthy, it could be very, very, very difficult to beat the Indians if the Indians have a healthy pitching staff. So when you look at that, it also shows that, there is some room for improvement. But if you can keep guys like Greg Allen or, Melky Cabrera, those guys in the outfield, along with Brantley, it could very easily be, the series may not go 5 games. It could very easily just be the 3 games that the Indians need, and then that's it. But once you get into more into the playoffs, it could very easily go. The series could very easily go 6 or 7 games, give or take. So joining me now is Jeremiah. Now, Jeremiah, when you look at, I was just talking about the Indians, but when you look at the pitching staff, if the Indians can stay healthy, do you see them getting to a World Series?
Yeah, definitely would have to be the bullpen somewhat picking it up. Especially the middle of the bullpen, for sure.
Right, like Andrew Miller, those guys. Now, if those guys can stay healthy, do you see Josh Donaldson? Do you see those guys, in the field, making a difference?
Yeah, definitely. Well, with the experience of alone, they're not playing somewhat skills.
Right.
Not playing their production of itself.
And I think the only guy on the Indians that hasn't had postseason experience is Yonder Alonso. So this will be his first taste of postseason baseball. Do you think that'll have an effect on how he, performs?
Yeah, he might have it on and off. He might struggle, but then he has the guys around him that he can go and, sort of, tap their brains and see what he should do. So
Right.
it will come, and I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. He'll develop it for sure.
Now you look back to last year with the Yankees series. I think the funniest thing from that series was Lindor hitting that home run and then realizing he had taken Abraham Almonte's bat by accident and didn't realize it and then hit that home run. Do you see, I mean, I know Abraham Almonte's not with the team, but do you see something like that happening again? Just like, maybe a coincidence where someone takes the wrong bat and ends up making a huge
Oh, that
difference?
probably happens regardless, even through the regular season. Forcible habit or something's not put in the normal place and that they just grab whatever. But heck, if they make a good thing out of it, it doesn't matter that much.
I mean, you look at that home run and Lindor just looked over at the dugout saying, whose bat was that? And then they figured it out and he's like, oh. But I mean, that can also have a negative effect on that because, if some guys aren't used to a heavy bat, could force a couple things to happen.
And even zoning out in the game, I guarantee that's happened. Thinking, oh, well, watching the pitching, that just go reach down. You don't realize it, that you're just in that zone.
Right.
That happens.
Now, when you look at the Astros pitching, there are a few threats with their pitching, like Dallas Keuchel or Justin Verlander. Do you see those guys? Do you see the Indians getting to those guys early?
Verlander, I don't think Verlander doesn't have. He's not that person that he used to be.
So, like, do you see them? Like, do you see him not maybe going inning and a third even against the Indians? Do you see the Indians?
It could happen because they, with his Detroit days, some of them they seen a lot between different things he does to all that experience. So I could see that happening, that they can go and bombard off of him.
Right. And then you also look at Garrett Cole and Dallas Keuchel. Dallas Keuchel, who is actually a AL Cy Young Award winner. Do you see the Indians, do you see Keuchel or them being good, or do you see the Indians getting to them,
The Indians can't get to them. The huge thing, if they can go in the first two games and win both, and having the team somewhat down necessarily, that plays in their favor. So.
Now, when you also look at the schedule, it's also a huge, huge deal because they're playing the first two games are on the road. Mm-hmm. So I think that'll also have an effect because the Astros are the defending World Series champs. They do have Jose Altuve, but do you see Bauer and them getting maybe double-digit strikeouts with those guys, against those guys?
Bauer, I don't know precisely Bauer at first. It can happen. The only thing I didn't completely get to see last night, I should pull it up on my phone, the box score. I heard that he pitched somewhat decent, but I didn't get to see, the actual statistics. That's the thing is, maybe, but could maybe not. So, I have to look off of that first. Especially since this is the second time he ended up pitching since coming back, so.
Right, and this was his first in-game, first long stint.
Yeah. Let me pull. Of course they would do that. That they don't have them listed off the front. Oh, I didn't realize he lost.
Yeah, so Bauer pitched 4 innings, allowing 5 hits, 2 runs, and struck out 4. And then Carrasco came in and pitched 4 and a half innings, allowing 4 hits, 3 runs, walking 4, and striking out 8.
Jeez. Bauer, yeah, But I don't think we're going next week. Am I going to see him go maybe 7? Yeah.
Right.
Maybe, by 6.
Right.
But I think he could be dominant towards.
Now,
The only thing is now Carrasco.
Right. Now, what about Shane Bieber? I mean, he's come on and he's, he's basically looking like Kluber, before, like, just that upstart.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see him, making a difference, pitching-wise?
It can't happen necessarily. That huge thing would be him developing, not including not being shaky. I could see a little bit the postseason where it really counts, sort of getting to him a touch, because he's never. I don't think he's been to a rodeo before.
I don't think he has.
So, yeah, that's a funny way how I phrase it. He hasn't been to the rodeo,
Right.
but I could. You can go both ways.
Right.
Do I expect him to be like a Bauer or Kluber? Not. He might have a game or two in there.
Right.
But
then you look at the other series with, the Red Sox having to face the winner of the wild card, and, the wild card is the Athletics and the Yankees. Do you see the Yankees beating the Red Sox, or do you see the A's beating the Red Sox?
I would love to see anyone beat the Red Sox, to be honest. It would be more funnier if it was the Yankees.
Right, 'cause, that is a rivalry, and it is, But, in my opinion, that series could very easily go, if it's the Yankees and Red Sox, that series is probably guaranteed to go 5 games, the full 5 games.
Yeah, at least 6.
Oh, no.
Even me.
I want to say the division series is 5 games.
Oh, 5?
It's
Oops.
it's best of 5. So,
Old habit.
Right.
But, yeah, I could see that going.
Right. No, I cannot see the A's beating the Red Sox, to be honest with you. They've got a couple good guys on that team, but they're big. I'd say the face of the clubhouse has to be Chris Davis. You look at how good he's played, but there's really not that other guy that's great on that team.
True.
Versus when you look at the Yankees, they've got, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Gary Sanchez, Didi Gregorius. You could very easily see the Yankees and Red Sox having that, that series of, just unpredictability. But,
yeah. I would love to see the Yankees knock off the Red Sox just for the one reason. Because the Red Sox, they won 100 blah, 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 blah games.
Right. That doesn't mean anything because it's a clean slate come postseason time.
Coming from Lakeland's own Red Sox fan, quote unquote, they won 100 and something games. That doesn't mean squat. Let's go back to Golden State. Perfect example.
Right. They won 73 games and they lost a series. They lost to a team that came back from down 3-1.
So, and yeah, they won 73. Was it 73 and 9?
73 and 9, yeah.
Yeah. So, doesn't mean squat if you have a good record in that.
Right, and granted, they could have very easily won 76 or 77 games because they didn't have Kevin Durant at the time.
Yeah.
So I think that was also a surprise to everybody is that they didn't have any. The only 2 superstars they had were Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond. But but then you look at the Yankees. The Red Sox. Excuse me. They got Chris Sale, one of the best pitchers I think in baseball. But
yeah, because last time they seen Sales this past series, the Indians were able to beat up on them.
Right.
I don't think Chris Sale, compared to him and Kluber, Kluber's more dominant than him.
Oh yeah, because he can. If he gives up a hit or two, Sale is that guy who he tanks. He doesn't. He just falls apart. Kluber, he's able to come back and get the 3 outs and then come back the next inning and just go 1, 2, 3.
So, and that's coming back from quote unquote another Red Sox fan here at Lakeland Community College of Chris Sale, he's great, blah blah. He's not great.
Right. I mean,
He could be debunked
right.
very easily.
Right. I mean, they've got other guys like Rick Porcello or Drew Pomerantz, where they're doing what Kluber does. They you may give up a hit or two, and then they just come back and they just are lights out the rest of the game. So going back to that record, the Red Sox actually had won 106 games and lost only 51. That's mind-boggling to me, to be honest with you, given the teams they've faced and how, I mean, looking at, I think they beat the Astros, my guess. If the Indians are to beat the Astros, do you see them going to the World Series? I know everybody, in Cleveland is, saying World Series, but do you see the Indians, after getting past the defending World Series champions, do you see them going and, winning it all?
It's a possibility. The only thing I haven't paid attention much of, the National League, though. Who's there all about, I more paid attention to the AL. I haven't paid attention to the NL that much.
Right. And then the only team to clinch, actually, was the Atlanta Braves clinched the AL East. And they've got Ronald Acuna Jr., who's been, he's probably going to be Rookie of the Year without a doubt. But I think that's the only team the Indians are going to have to worry about is the Braves.
True.
Because, I mean, the Cubs are, 91 and 66, but they haven't been playing.
They're not the dominant that they used to be 2 years ago.
Yeah, they're not. Because, in my opinion, they had David Ross, who was, great, but I think it was just luck, in my opinion. That whole, they came back from down 3-1. That was just karma getting back at us, 1 and 2. It was just luck. Because Kluber had to pitch, 1 or 2 games in that series because Bauer wasn't there. But now that Bauer is healthy and he is, rejuvenated, he's able, you don't have to pitch Kluber, 1 or 2 games in a series.
True. Very true.
I mean, and as long as the bullpen, Brad Hand and, those guys are pitching down.
Well, it's more like, was it Danny or Dan?
Dan Otero.
Is it Tim too? Yeah, I think Tim and all that. Yeah, those guys. Not really the back end, except Greg Allen. I hope for sure steps up a little more to be more like the dominant. Not really worried of like the back three. It's more the front run. Except, was it Ramirez and Perez? I'm not worried about them. It's more that Dan Otero, Tim, whatever. It starts with an O, I thought.
You mean Adam Simber? Is that who you're thinking of? Or,
was it a Tim? It's another one. I had to look that up and that. But it's just those guys I'm worried about.
Cody Allen, I mean, he's been good, but he hasn't been like he was in the past, where he was, able to come in the ninth inning and just, go 1, 2, 3. He's had times where he's been taken out of the game, But
for sure,
I mean, the team's all healthy. That's the one thing we got to be thankful for is that Brantley's healthy, Bauer's healthy. Because in my opinion, if Bauer and Brantley were both healthy in 2016. We would have won the World Series, because that was the only thing that really lost us that series was we had to pitch Kluber. What was it, 2 games in that series? And then Brantley wasn't healthy, so we had I mean, in my opinion, if Brantley was healthy, Rajai Davis would never have hit that home run.
Not including even like Clevenger, that he was sort of, but he was sort of struggling-ish.
Right.
Now he's, more... Is he elite great? Not per se.
No.
But he's developed more in the 2 years.
Right.
So...
In my opinion, if the Indians were to win the World Series, I hope someone makes this bet with him. He has to cut his hair. Because that... I mean, I get, where he's coming from with the hair, but it's like, yeah, get the haircut. I mean, look at, what was it, Syndergaard or... Jacob deGrom, they both got their haircut, and look at them now. Look at deGrom. I mean, he's dominant. But I mean, and then you look at the thing with Kluber where he made a bet with his wife if he had to shave his beard. And I mean, I think everybody was happy with that.
Yeah, that was pretty full.
Yeah.
That was pretty full.
Yeah. But
it's going to start all over again.
Right.
Now, right?
Right.
Might as well throw it out there. It's going to go and start all over again.
Right.
Let me look
I mean,
at-
I think it'd just be, in my opinion, to see the Indians if they win the World Series. I think that'd be amazing to see what the city would be like. But I think on top of that, if you put the Indians win the World Series and then on top of that you have the Browns win a Super Bowl, think about how crazy. I think Cleveland would be partying for months. Maybe, I mean, not years, but I would say definitely months. Because, I mean, in my opinion, if the Indians win the World Series, they'll have their parade at, some point during the winter. So it'll be, 20 degrees. So you could,
Yeah.
but I think it'd be very cool to see, the spotlight on Cleveland. And on top of that, actually, a couple days ago, I noticed on the news, the Cleveland will be hosting the 2024 Women's Final Four at the Q in 2024. So that'll be, and that has been huge because of UConn losing, in the final. They haven't been to the championship game in a long time. So
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice to see the men's Final Four, but you can't be, you can't be judgmental in that way.
True.
So, the spotlight's gonna be on Cleveland, that at that point. But
I would just be happy with the Indians. If the Browns make improvement, that's all I care
Right.
about.
But hey, I think it'd be pretty cool to see them, with the rookie quarterback win a Super. See Baker Mayfield lead us to a Super Bowl. I think that.
True.
Hopefully that doesn't go over his head if it happens. I just don't want to. That's the one thing you don't want to see is, him get all the hype and then just go right over his head, trying to think he's all that. He can have that confidence. Don't get me wrong, but it's when he gets carried away with that, or when guys get carried away with that, it just doesn't end well.
For sure. Here it is. So Tyler.
Oh, Tyler Olson.
Yeah.
That's who it was. Right.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, because Oliver, he's not that bad. He's, and that.
Right.
He still has some growing. Nelson, that they're pretty lot, but it's still some growing.
Right.
But definitely Tyler and Dan, they gotta pick up
Right.
their stuff.
I just hope Terry Francona doesn't make the same mistake he did when he did the what was it? He had made that pitching change and he called out the wrong guy, but they were like the initials that he called out were like the same. I hope he doesn't make the same mistake again. I hope he, can clarify that because I think what game was I don't even remember what game that was.
They probably came up with some kind of thing since then.
And the one thing I would love to see if the Indians win the World Series, I'd love to see Terry Francona not do the chew or whatever because that's just. Have you seen that with all the bubble gum? That just blows my mind. I'm like, you had all those heart problems and this and that, and you're still doing it.
Well, it's almost like one thing. He grew up in that, and that. It's
Right.
kind of hard to break that,
That addiction.
Yeah.
I think you look at Jose Ramirez, he looks like a chipmunk. When he comes to the plate, he's got all that tobacco in his mouth. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? But hey, if it helps him, play well, great. As long as it's not steroids or anything like that, I'm okay with it. But
Pretty much.
Right.
So, yeah, whatever their kinks are,
right.
as long as they get the job done,
Right.
who really cares?
Now, I want to talk a little Cavs because they had media day yesterday, and it was the first time without LeBron. There was a lot of optimism as to maybe getting to the playoffs, with a young team. But then I had heard Tyronn Lue. He was saying, we can go to the finals. I said, okay, you got to be, that's great. You have that mindset, but it's like, it won't happen in the first year. I'd love to see them get it, win a championship, and then before LeBron wins one in LA, that would be fantastic because that would show that LeBron made a huge mistake of going to LA and, having.
I still think we have like two pieces away of getting really deep into it again.
Right, and then they're in talks with getting Jimmy Butler, which is even a bigger thing.
Then, like drafting in people, that it takes a little experience
Right.
too.
Right.
I think the Cavs, they have potential.
Oh yeah.
And then, the front office and that,
Right.
seeing what it takes, what's needed.
Right.
I still believe we're still
Right.
at least two pieces away
Oh yeah.
from really making that run.
Right.
They make the, playoffs.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I mean, and then in my opinion, if LeBron, granted, I wish him nothing but the best, in LA, but I just hope that he doesn't get caught up in the LeVar Ball, spotlight, because I just think that is going to happen at some point. He's going to be, talking with Lonzo, and then LeVar is going to come in, because I feel like that just, if I was LeBron, I would never go into that kind of situation, having that sort of situation, because
I don't see LeBron doing it.
I mean,
because you just look at, like, the back and forth with, like, the whole Kyrie and him situation.
Oh, yeah.
At one point in time, it's like, I don't know, whatever, ask him.
Right. I just don't want to see LeVar Ball taking over LeBron as well, doing something like that, because I think that would just ruin.
No.
I mean,
the guy's going to ruin his sons before he actually goes after LeBron.
Right. I mean, look what his one son did at UCLA.
And trust me, LeBron will have some really strong words if he goes and starts talking to his son about doing whatever, going to his basketball camp or whatever.
Right.
As a father, than him being an NBA player in it,
right,
he's going to step in and just say, hey, cool opportunity, cool whatever advice in that.
Right.
I sort of know what I'm doing. Nothing. I want to see him do his own thing.
Right.
Back off.
Right. Or like what his son did at UCLA with that whole thing in China. Yeah. And then for LeVar to come out and just say all this stuff, and then to hear that they have a reality TV show, I'm like,
they have a
yeah, they were reality. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's so crazy?
Can I just go and smack the father?
Well, the thing is that I thought of the Kardashians. I'm like, they're going to be, this is like another Kardashian thing. I mean, and the one thing I don't like is that he's so like.
This shows where society's at. We watch a moron go and do stupid stuff.
Right. But I mean, granted, the only thing I don't like about Lonzo, I dislike his father. I don't hate him, but I dislike him. I just don't like Lonzo Ball's shooting form. I mean, it is just like the worst thing. I mean, he comes from his left shoulder. He starts at his left shoulder and crosses over. That, in my opinion, that will change. LeBron is going to work with him. I guarantee it.
But the only thing is, will his father step in
and just say, "Don't bother my son"?
Yeah.
Because I feel like
he is an ego father. So
I feel like he's. Isn't it? He got the shoe contract and this and that. I feel like the father's way too controlling of what his son does.
And when at some point in time the son's got to step up and just think, with a TV show, what he did to my other brother and that.
Right. Like going to Lithuania.
When will he step up and just say, Dad,
leave me alone?
You mean well in that. I don't want to do a TV show. Right. I don't want you messing with my relations with the organization. I hired I don't know if he has an agent.
No,
or
his dad's his agent.
That's a stupid mistake right there too. I hired an agent. All this. I'm going to start being myself, making my own things.
Right.
When will the son actually wise up and say this?
That'll be a while.
Oh, yeah.
But
how much will he have to suffer between that when he finally, smells that good cup of joe?
Right. And actually, last night I actually watched on YouTube a portion of one of the episodes of their reality TV show, and you watch their show. It's almost like the Kardashians. It is like, it's got that feel, and I'm like, are you kidding? Like. This guy's.
I'm not surprised.
He's an amazing basketball player. Don't get me wrong. He's not. He has that potential. But if his father keeps doing this stuff with controlling him and telling him what to do, and then telling his son to go to Lithuania, and whatever basketball experience you can get, go for it. But I don't think he has any. His other son or his brother has any shot in Lithuania. With the.
Oh no.
With the international team, or whatever you want to call it. Because
he builds the relationships with. The NBA teams, the scouts here. If he stays in college, he, builds a relationship and sort of, a thing within the league with, the people above him being drafted in and all that.
Right.
That's the smart thing.
Right.
Going to a dumb different country that, they're mediocre at best.
Right.
God.
I mean, it doesn't. It's.
I wanted to smack him after I heard that.
I mean, I was when I saw that LeBron he was going to LA. I'm like, LeVar Ball's gonna take over. He's gonna like try to bring LeBron in and like.
Oh, I could see LeBron at some point in time, especially with the father. If he really starts messing in with stuff and that, then he goes and says, I'm done. I don't want any part of this.
He'll come back here and he'll.
Oh, yeah.
Because in my opinion, I mean, I get where he's going to LA because he wants to, Magic Johnson and, taking that team back to where it used to be with Kobe.
I think in a way he's sort of over the thing of trying to get, like 8 championships and that. If he can go to another team, if they win 1 in that or 2, cool. But if he builds a sort of a franchise,
yeah,
I think he's more in for that moments now.
Right, and then you also,
right.
And you also look at his son, LeBron's son. He's going to be in the NBA one day, and who knows? The Cavs may get that pick, and I think that'd be very. That'd be interesting. That'd be very cool to see LeBron and his son playing together because I think that would be
scary.
Why would you say that?
A little bit. Because you don't see that happen much anymore.
Oh, look at the Bosas. They could very easily be playing together in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
Oh, but that's brothers. That's not fathers.
Over the years, you really haven't seen that.
Right.
Maybe golf and that probably the only relatable thing.
Right. With the caddy and all that.
Well, even, his father and his son coming into the tour. But you never see that in professional sports, really.
But, I mean, watching his son, 'cause I know I'd gone to a couple that my cousins had played in an AAU tournament, and LeBron's son was there, but LeBron I don't know where he was. But seeing his son play, I mean, it's just incredible to see what he can do. I mean, he's like 6'1", and he's dunking the ball already. I'm like it blows my mind, like, how good he is. Now, part of that could be genetics, Yeah. But the other part of that could be, the hard work that LeBron has told him, hey, work hard.
Him seeing it even from himself, from his father.
Right, seeing what his father...
And what he could do.
Right. But I think playing, having LeBron play with his son in the NBA would be amazing. I think to top that all off would be winning a championship together. I think if LeBron were to come back and him and his son are on the Cavs and they win a title together, I think that would be like icing on the cake,
True.
Because that would make that, as you said, it hasn't happened much in basketball. I think that'd be very cool to see. Hey, if you're...
I would think even in the NFL.
Oh, yeah, I don't think...
I can name it.
But, I mean, it's like it... Mm-hmm. I mean, all these kids are coming up through AAU, and, I mean, they're getting, college offers. And then, I think, what was it, a couple of days ago, they said the NBA or the NCAA is thinking about putting back that one and done where you could very easily, I think, go from high school to the NBA like what LeBron did. Now, in my opinion, if LeBron would have went to college, it would have been a different story. But granted, he went to Miami and he said, "Oh, I went to college." That was his college.
Yeah.
I mean, now he didn't win.
I think in a way, if LeBron could sort of do it over again, he probably would like to, had that like year or 2 in college.
Right.
That he could have learned a lot from. But it didn't turn that bad out for him in the end.
Right. I mean, and he's still, I mean, look what he's doing in the city of Akron, the I Promise School and all this. Mm-hmm. And granted, he's now in LA, but he's still able to, help out the community. And if LeBron can win a championship in LA, great. I just don't want to see him, winning like 3 or 4 in a row. I would just hate to see that. That would just...
I don't completely see that.
I mean...
I could see maybe 1, 2...
Right.
In there.
But you can't get past Golden State. In my opinion, the Lakers, even with LeBron, cannot get past Golden State.
Well, especially because they're young.
Right.
Then it's going to be the gelling part and all that other stuff.
Right.
First year, it might not completely happen.
Right. I mean, there may be those expectations of, NBA Finals, but that may not happen.
At least the first year.
Oh, yeah.
Next year, it's definitely more of a possibility.
Right.
But it's still, everyone getting used to one another, then the diversity and how everyone handles whatever. Not only you had to throw in the thing of Ball's father being the nut job that he is.
Right.
And mouthing off and probably ticking off LeBron and stuff. Right. And LeBron going, just saying, yeah, no. This is not how it's going to fly.
Right. Because if that
it would be funny, though, if finally the son finally stands up with his father after like 2 years of LeBron being there.
Right. And then I think
they have to see if that's an influence on it.
Now, the one thing I would hate to, the one thing I would not like to see is, I don't know if you've heard, but LeBron is, going to be he's going to be, in space. They're making a new Space Jam movie. But I feel like Lonzo or LeVar, they're going to have some input on that, just thinking about, what I mean?
I don't know if he would let.
I feel like he wouldn't.
I really don't.
That.
So they don't really know one another that well.
Right.
I could see him bringing Wade along for a
like
ride.
Dwayne Wade or even Kyrie and saying, hey, Kyrie.
I don't know.
Maybe Kyrie. It all depends.
I don't know.
But I
depends if Kyrie is down to earth.
I know the movie hasn't come out yet, but I feel like the original or the first one, I feel like that one is going to be better than the new one in my opinion, even though the new one hasn't come out yet.
Many people grew up with it, so it's going to stay.
Right.
For sure.
Right. But I think if LeVar Ball, as you said, gets involved with the Lakers, LeBron is going to either, he did sign that 4-year deal, but he may take the other 2 years and say, I'll take that back to Cleveland with me,
or 3
years. He may do 1 year in LA and say, you know what, I can't deal with the LeVar Ball show.
He'll tolerate it, but I can't see if it is continuous.
Right.
I don't see him putting up with it for long. I can't see him putting up with it for 4 years if it's just the constant badgering and getting in the way.
Of LeVar trying to get LeBron to do like some photo shoots with Lonzo or this or that or,
Or telling him what to do.
Right.
The guy has more experience than your son. He knows more. He's accomplished more without your help. So why are you going to go and put your input to him?
Right.
That's almost like me going to a rocket scientist and telling them how to build a rocket.
Right.
They're not going to care about what I say.
Right. Lonzo Ball, he's... But, I feel like LeVar is more like he's treating Lonzo more like a daddy's boy. You know what I mean? It's like he's...
Mm-hmm.
I hope Lonzo, figures it out that, hey, I got to get an agent and my father's doing this. But I feel like he's so sucked into that, being popular, being in LA, being, in Malibu or what have you. He's just sucked into that lifestyle of just living the dream. So I feel like if there's a point where Lonzo gets injured and, he can't do something, I feel like that'll prove something like, hey, I can't, like, if he does what Josh Gordon did, pulling his hammy at a photo shoot. LeVar will probably feel like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't have asked him to do this if there was an injury. Granted, that's like the weirdest way to get an injury is during a photo shoot, but
yeah,
it can happen.
Yeah, I really hate the father of Ball.
I just hearing his name multiple times, I'm like,
it just makes you want to cringe each and every darn time.
It's like, is Lonzo embarrassed at all if his father just being the face of his career? Like, because I never saw LeBron.
He's just on the bandwagon of, just living it up, the father. Right. I hate to say it.
Right. I never saw LeBron's father getting involved, or mother getting involved with his career. I never saw that.
No.
So why does it have to happen with...
Well, even you look at LeBron, his mother... You didn't hear her, much over his, she helped me out. But she didn't go and tell him what to do and stuff. Even though behind the scenes, they probably had discussions just bouncing stuff off of one another.
Right. But it wasn't like LeVar Ball where he's...
in the media all the time.
Always in the, paparazzi and media and, than creating a TV. The TV show I think was the craziest thing to see because
I'm not gonna watch.
I mean, I watched.
Don't even want to help it.
Well, I watched like what was it, like a minute of it, and I'm like, I'm not watching this
I
anymore.
don't even want to give the minute of the satisfaction of, hey, we got one more person.
Right.
God.
But it just I feel like I mean, L.A. I mean, I bet you it's an amazing city, but I just feel like it's more of that, you know, famous, popular, you know, just that kind of city, and I feel like that's what LeVar Ball is making Lonzo like that, sort of like that paparazzi grabber, if you will. And I feel like that was not LeBron made the wrong decision in going to LA. I mean, even though they haven't played any games yet, you know, right off the bat you think of him being in the face of paparazzi, and you know, because if LeVar Ball tells LeBron one thing to do, LeBron's gonna be like, just stay away from me. Don't. You can talk to your son.
I see the situation of Ball calling out or LeBron in the media if he didn't listen to him, and that I could see that.
Or like
I could smell it from a mile away.
Or like I mean, it's like maybe LeVar told LeBron, "Hey, pass my son the ball in the final minute of the game," and he doesn't do that. He could very easily be called out on the media, but that doesn't matter because LeBron made the decision that he wanted to make.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. As a lot of guys with the Cavs have said, he's a basketball mind. He knows things before they even happen. He knows their like teams, you know, tendencies. Lonzo Ball hasn't won a championship or, you know, done anything spectacular yet. All he's done is brought, you know, a Kardashian into the world, and that's his. I'd call his father a Kardashian because his father's just. I mean,
God, networks need to come and have better taste in
right.
giving people TV shows.
Right. Well, I just feel like, you know, like it's just the way his father wants the ball, that name to just be, you know like
he's trying to build it as a brand.
Right,
The only thing is he doesn't realize he's detracting.
Right.
Some people are doing it for the interest. Some people are dumb enough to go along with it. Some people, they'll put up with it.
I mean,
but it's a good third or more people that just flat out don't care and
right.
think they're dumb.
I mean, Lonzo Ball, like their first shoe was $1,000. Like, what person would pay $1,000 for a shoe?
Even LeBron's first shoe wasn't even $1,000 bucks.
Was it like 400, 300? It was. What was it?
I don't know. It was probably $300, if not less.
But it wasn't like this, like $1,000. That's the pay. That's here's a comparison.
That just says, "Hey, we're desperate for money."
That's how much the new iPhone is. Look at that.
$1,000?
Yeah, the new iPhone is $1,000.
God.
Think about that. A shoe is the same price as a cell phone, cell phone. Just think about that. How crazy that is.
I'm actually Googling this.
In my opinion, they probably haven't sold many shoes.
Oh no.
Because the price, I bet you, people were like, "Are you kidding?" And think about how much they have to pay the workers to make the shoe itself. I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, LeVar Ball has no idea how to market his son, or he doesn't know about prices. Because in my opinion, if he would have known, I bet you the shoe would have probably been at least $200, if not $300. It wouldn't be $1,000. Because I think his father just wants to make money and just.
Oh, more than likely cash in that.
Right, cash into the fame. You know. Because granted, he talked to Stephen A. Smith when was it? It was after a game, and he just kept going on and on, about his son, being this like king and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, you got to be kidding.
He's not a king.
Right. He's like, oh, my son's, going to be the next face of the franchise. I'm like, that's not going to happen. I mean, it may happen. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen in the blink of an eye.
Like right now, LeBron's shoe that he has out now, it's not even completely $200.
And that's the newest one?
Yeah, right now it's running for $184.
Oh my God.
I know it was probably a little more up in the beginning part.
Right. Now looking at that.
When it got released, hold on. I think I might have just found it. It was $174.
Wow. I feel like LeVar Ball did not go to
grand. That
right. Think about what's gonna get. I mean, I feel like LeVar Ball did not go to school, to learn about how to, manage a business. 'Cause
He's never heard of Google.
probably he's probably just thought his Google's in his mind.
Yeah.
Okay, how do I make money? How do I, because I feel like if LeBron is asked at some point asked by LeVar to do something with his son, I feel like LeBron at first will say, okay, if it's one little thing, fine. But if it's like a photo shoot or some company pair with Nike and the Ball family, Nike's gonna be like, we're not gonna deal with this merger because, I mean, think about it. It's just big baller brand. I mean, that's not. I mean, granted, I think Nike would be thrilled to purchase that, but I feel like LeBron would be like, we're not, because I feel like then LeVar would be all into how LeBron makes his shoe, how much he puts out for it, Because to have a shoe worth the price of an iPhone, just it doesn't make sense to me. It's like
Well, you just think with LeBron's shoe, you could buy 5 of them for the price of balls.
Right. But granted,
that's horrible.
But granted, half the people who buy LeBron's shoe are from Cleveland. Granted.
Yeah.
So it's like you look at that, but also LA, they've got there's a huge market. So, but in my opinion, I don't think anybody's going to be buying, unless his dad decides, you know what, I'm going to lower prices, considering the sales are not going anywhere.
I can't believe they would ask $1,000 for the shoe.
Well, then you think about how much they charge or how much they pay the workers to make the shoe itself. I bet you.
I hope to God it has some kind of gold in it for $1,000.
Right.
I mean legitimate gold, not gold.
Right. Not just a color.
Yeah, legitimate gold.
I mean, I think the first shoe that they came out with, as far as Lonzo Ball, I think it was like that. Like it was just it was black and red and blue. That was it. And there was no special. I mean, there was a special logo on the the tongue of it, but it was nothing special. I'm like, and you're asking $1,000 for that?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like, why? Like, it's part of it going to charity, because I know for a fact LeBron probably takes some of the money he makes from his shoes and puts it into his foundation.
Maybe not completely because that was it December 2013 when I found that price, the $175. Not completely at first, probably,
right,
but he probably was saving it off to use it to develop the foundation and stuff.
And the new I Promise school in Akron.
Yeah. He probably was, side pocketing it.
Now that's the one difference between LeBron and LeVar, is that LeBron's all about community and, giving back to the community and, helping them out. LeVar Ball, he's all about as people will say, showmanship, showing himself off. He mentions his son, but he mentions his son as this god. And in my opinion, there's only one god in basketball, and that's LeBron. Because look at LeBron and Lonzo. Lonzo has not won a championship. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't won an MVP. Look at LeBron. He's won however many championships, couple MVP awards. He's like a 5 or 6 time All-Star.
Yeah.
I mean, and granted, LeBron came right from high school and went to the NBA. Lonzo, he went through high school and college and then came to the NBA. I mean,
I just hate the whole Ball family. Can we just go and ship them to the moon or moon?
Well, why don't you send them overseas? Why don't you send them overseas and have them play with Lithuania or just
No, they don't deserve to be even on this. Just send them to the moon. Especially the father. The father, I can't stand him.
The father, he needs to go, because if I had a father like that, I would be.
Or they need to make mute buttons for people that you could just go and turn them off.
Or you just mute, or you just pretend like you're interviewing him. In reality, you're just the mic's not even on.
I would love it if someone did that. That would be hilarious.
I just had the camera on him just to see what he did. I feel like
him just standing there and
right.
That would be great.
I mean, because I feel like he's making a fool out of himself and his family, because he's turning into a Kardashian. Period. End of story. That's flat out.
I'm still surprised that TV show's still going on too.
I can't. Well, it's all on streaming now. It's
Huh?
just it's all I think it's on Hulu or it's on those like online streaming like Hulu or whatever you want to call it.
I wish we could send them to the moon too. It would be a lot easier.
Okay, so we're just about done. We thank you for listening, and next week we will have a special guest on Monday. It'll be it's the public relations guy or executive from the Indians, Curtis Danberg, will be on the show next week talking Indians. We'll see you next time. You've been listening to the Sports Radio Show here on Lake Effect Radio.